The stars looked different from the lunar surface. At least that's what Dr. Eleanor Quinn always thought during her night shifts at the Lunar Communication Array. Earth glowed blue and green in the black sky as she adjusted the massive radio dishes. It was a quiet night, like most nights had been for the past 5 years she'd worked here. Eleanor sipped her coffee and watched the data streams flow across her screens. The array was designed to listen for signals from deep space, though most scientists believed it would be decades or even centuries before they detected anything meaningful. Humanity had sent out countless messages, but the vast emptiness of space had yet to answer back. Until tonight, the first anomaly appeared as a small spike in the data. Eleanor almost missed it. She was about to mark it as typical cosmic background radiation when it happened again. And again. Then the pattern changed. "This isn't random," she whispered to herself. Eleanor's fingers flew across the keyboard, adjusting the array to focus on the signal's origin. Her heart raced as the patterns became clearer. This wasn't natural. This wasn't Earth-made. This was a message. The door to the control room slid open. Lieutenant Jack Harrison of the United Earth Defense Force entered, carrying 2 fresh cups of coffee. "Thought you might need a refill," he said, but stopped when he saw Eleanor's face. "What's wrong?" "I need you to look at this," Eleanor said, not taking her eyes off the screen. "Tell me I'm not crazy." Jack set the coffee down and leaned over her shoulder. The signal was now forming into a clear pattern, mathematical sequences, repeating with precision. Is this? Jack couldn't finish his sentence. "It's a message," Eleanor confirmed. "And it's not from Earth or any of our colonies." "Could be a prank," Jack suggested, but his military training was already kicking in. Some hacker messing with the array. Eleanor shook her head. No one could fake this complexity. She pointed to a new stream of data that appeared on her screen. And no one on Earth could send these star charts. The main screen switched from data to images, strange symbols at first, then star systems Eleanor had never seen, and finally, beings. Creatures with tentacles, others with multiple eyes, some appearing almost like living crystal. The images showed dozens of different species, all clearly not human, all clearly intelligent. "My God," Jack whispered. The images continued for several minutes. Then a final message appeared. The symbols were unlike any human language, but beneath them, in perfect English, were the words, "Present yourselves for assessment or face consequences. Coordinates follow." "How do they know English?" Jack asked. "They must have been monitoring our transmissions," Eleanor said. "For years, maybe decades." "I need to contact Admiral Whitfield immediately," Jack said, reaching for the secure communication line. Eleanor nodded, still transfixed by the message. "Tell him the Fermi paradox has been solved. We're not alone, and they know exactly where we are." Within hours, the lunar base became a flurry of activity. Military personnel, scientists, and government officials arrived via emergency shuttles. Admiral Peter Whitfield, a tall man with silver hair and stern eyes, reviewed the transmission in the main conference room. "And you're certain this isn't terrestrial in origin?" he asked Eleanor. "Completely certain, sir," she replied. "The signal came from approximately 40 light-years away. The technology required to send such a clear transmission from that distance is beyond our capabilities." Admiral Whitfield nodded grimly. "Then it seems humanity has an appointment with this Galactic Council." "Sir," Jack interjected, "the message mentioned consequences. That sounds like a threat." "It could be a standard diplomatic phrase for them," Eleanor suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. Admiral Whitfield stood up straight. "Threat or not, humanity will face this moment with dignity. Dr. Quinn, Lieutenant Harrison, you two discovered this message. You'll join the delegation." Eleanor and Jack exchanged nervous glances. They had both dreamed of finding evidence of alien life, but neither had expected it to feel so ominous. "Prepare the experimental FTL ship," Whitfield ordered his staff. "We have a first contact situation." and it seems the other party is not in a patient mood. As the room erupted in urgent activity, Eleanor looked back at the final frame of the transmission, a map of the stars with Earth clearly marked. Not just marked, but highlighted. Earth had been noticed by the galaxy. And the galaxy was coming. The UES Discovery hummed with nervous energy as it approached the coordinates sent by the Galactic Council. Ambassador Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur past. The experimental faster-than-light drive had worked better than anyone expected. A journey that should have taken decades had taken only days. 2 minutes until arrival, announced the ship's pilot. Ambassador Martinez smoothed her formal uniform. As Earth's best diplomat, she had negotiated peace during the resource wars and unified fractured nations, but nothing had prepared her for representing all of humanity to alien life. Remember, she told the delegation, we are guests. We observe and learn first. No sudden movements or assumptions. Captain Daniel Moore, head of security, checked his sidearm one last time before securing it in its holster. His orders were clear. Weapons were for absolute emergencies only. First contact was too important to risk with a misunderstanding. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The pilot's voice was steady despite the tension. The starfield reappeared, and collective gasps filled the bridge. Before them floated a massive structure that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. It resembled a giant wheel with spokes extending from a central hub, illuminated by lights of colors humans had never seen before. "My God," whispered Dr. Eleanor Quinn, studying the structure through the view screen. "It must be at least 100 kilometers across." Lieutenant Jack Harrison's military training couldn't hide his awe. "Look at the ships." Hundreds of vessels of different designs moved around the station like fish in a reef. A voice crackled over the communication system, speaking perfect English. "Human vessel discovery. Proceed to docking bay 12. Follow the guidance beam." "They're not even surprised to see us," Daniel muttered. Ambassador Martinez squared her shoulders. "Let's not keep them waiting." The docking process was seamless, guided by invisible forces that gently pulled the Discovery into a massive bay. As the airlock sealed, sensors confirmed the atmosphere was breathable. "Remember," Martinez said one final time, "we represent all of humanity today." The delegation of 12 humans walked through the airlock into a vast chamber. And there they stood. Aliens from a dozen different species, some tall and willowy with blue skin, others short with multiple limbs, one that seemed to float above the ground, and several that looked almost mechanical. From among them stepped a being that resembled a tall humanoid with silver skin and no visible mouth. "I am Sarlacc, Council Assessor. Welcome to Central Station, humans." Ambassador Martinez stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we are honored to join the galactic community." Sarlacc made a gesture that might have been dismissive. "You have not joined yet. All new species must be assessed for their compatibility and threat potential." Daniel noted how some of the other aliens watched from a distance, whispering among themselves. None approached the humans directly. "Of course," Martinez recovered smoothly. "We are ready for your assessment. You will be escorted to your quarters. The assessment begins tomorrow," Sarlacc said. "The Council has reviewed your broadcasts and history. There are concerns." Another alien stepped forward. This one resembled an insect with compound eyes. "These humans advanced from primitive flight to space travel in less than a century. Their rate of technological development is unusual and problematic," added another alien with tentacles instead of arms. "Their history is dominated by conflict." Eleanor felt a chill despite the comfortable temperature. These beings had studied Earth for who knows how long, yet humans had known of their existence for less than a week. The delegation was led to a series of rooms that seemed designed to accommodate human needs, though the proportions felt slightly wrong. The doors sealed behind them with a soft hiss. "Did anyone else notice how they looked at us?" Jack asked once they were alone. "Like we were something dangerous." "We noticed," Daniel confirmed. He ran a small device along the walls, checking for surveillance. It beeped softly. And they're listening to everything we say. Ambassador Martinez sighed. Then let them hear this. We came in peace and with open minds. Eleanor studied the informational tablet they'd been given. The assessment process takes a week, according to this. They'll examine our biology, psychology, technology, and social structures. Daniel looked grim. Then they decide if we're worth keeping around. Outside their quarters, vessels continued to dock and depart from the massive station. Earth was just the newest arrival to an ancient gathering, and from the cool reception, perhaps not a welcome one. The assessment had begun, and humanity's future hung in the balance. 7 days of questions, tests, and examinations had left the human delegation exhausted. They sat in their quarters on the final evening, waiting for the council's decision. They asked so much about our wars, Ambassador Martinez said quietly. Every conflict, every weapon we've ever developed. Eleanor nodded, but almost nothing about our art, our music, our efforts to preserve our planet. They're not interested in that, Daniel said. He had grown more suspicious with each passing day. They only care about whether we're a threat. Lieutenant Jack Harrison paced the room. Did anyone else notice how the other species avoid us? That blue four-armed one practically ran away when I tried to start a conversation. We're being treated like we have a disease, Dr. Quinn agreed. The door slid open, and a mechanical being entered. The council has reached its decision. Your presence is required in the Grand Chamber. The humans exchanged nervous glances before following. The halls of the station seemed longer today, the lights dimmer. They entered an enormous room with rising tiers of seats filled with representatives from dozens of species. At the center was a circular platform where Tarlock waited. The humans will stand on the assessment platform, he commanded. Ambassador Martinez led her team forward. The platform illuminated beneath them. The Galactic Council has completed its assessment of species designation, human from planet Earth. Tarlock announced. His voice echoed throughout the chamber. This assessment has been broadcast to all Council worlds as required by protocol. Eleanor whispered to Jack, broadcast. No one mentioned that. Council species have the right to know of potential new members, or threats. Tarlock continued. After careful examination of human history, biology, and technological development patterns, the Council has designated humans as a Class 5 dangerous species. Gasps and murmurs spread through the alien audience. Martine stepped forward. We came in peace. We have shown no hostility. Your history speaks for itself, said a large reptilian council member. Your kind developed nuclear weapons and used them on your own species. You've destroyed countless life forms on your own planet. We've learned from those mistakes, Martinez argued. The rate of human technological advancement is unprecedented, another council member added. From primitive flight to space travel in a single century, such rapid advancement indicates dangerous instability. Tarlock raised a hand for silence. The Council's decision is final. Earth will be quarantined. Limited technological development will be permitted under supervision. Earth will provide resource tributes to the Council annually. Any violation of these terms will result in corrective measures. This is outrageous, Daniel protested. You can't just. To demonstrate the consequences of non-compliance. Tarlock interrupted. The Council has authorized a necessary precaution. The chamber's main view screen activated, showing an image of Mars. The red planet filled the screen, the human colonies visible as small bright spots on the surface. No, Eleanor whispered, understanding before the others. The Mars colony represents an unacceptable expansion of human influence. Tarlock stated coldly. Its removal will serve as a reminder of the Council's authority. Without warning, beams of light streaked toward Mars from unseen ships. The surface erupted in explosions that spread across the planet. The colonies, home to over 3 million people, vanished in moments. Ambassador Martinez screamed. Jack lunged forward but was held back by an invisible force field. Daniel reached for his weapon but couldn't draw it. "The decision is made," Tarlock said, as if noting the weather. "This broadcast has been transmitted to Earth as a formal notification." Lieutenant Amy Sutton, the delegation's communications officer, had remained silent throughout. While others watched in horror, her fingers moved discreetly over her communication device. She sent one encrypted message back to Earth. "They've killed Mars. Prepare." Guards surrounded the human delegation. "You will be escorted to containment," Tarlock stated. "Earth has 24 hours to acknowledge the Council's terms." As they were led away, Eleanor caught sight of one alien, small with iridescent skin, watching them with what looked like sympathy. Their eyes met briefly before the alien quickly looked away. In that moment, she realized. Not everyone in the Council agreed with this brutality, but it didn't matter now. Mars was gone, 3 million lives snuffed out in seconds, and Earth had just watched it happen. Live. The war had already begun. Chaos erupted across Earth as the Council's broadcast reached every screen on the planet. People watched in horror as Mars, home to 3 million colonists, vanished in a series of explosions. Families of those on Mars collapsed in grief. Others ran into the streets in panic. Some prepared for what they believed was the end of the world. In the underground complex beneath Washington, D.C., Admiral Peter Whitfield watched the broadcast for the 5th time. His face showed no emotion, but his knuckles were white as he gripped the edge of the conference table. "Play Lieutenant Sutton's message again," he ordered. A technician nodded and tapped a few keys. The short, encrypted message played. "They've killed Mars. Prepare." General Sandra Collins, head of Earth's combined military forces, stood up. "We need to mobilize everything we have. If those aliens can destroy Mars, they can hit Earth just as easily." "With what?" asked a pale-faced politician. "You saw their weapons. What can we possibly do against that kind of power?" "We fight," Admiral Whitfield said simply. He turned to face the room full of military commanders and government officials. "We've faced extinction before. The difference is, now we know exactly who our enemy is." In another part of the complex, Dr. Nathan Chen studied the recordings of the attack on Mars. He played the footage frame by frame, analyzing the alien weapons. "There's something here," he muttered to himself. Their shields changed just before they fired. A frequency shift. His computer suddenly beeped with an incoming message. The sender was not someone he recognized. Steve Rodriguez, from the Nevada Engineering Center. "Dr. Chen," the message read, "I've been studying the alien ships. The way they generate power is similar to our fusion engines, but they're using a containment field unlike anything we've developed. What if we could reverse the polarity of our own engines? Turn them into weapons?" Chen immediately called Rodriguez. What followed was a rapid exchange of ideas between a theoretical physicist and a former auto mechanic who had redesigned fusion engines for the Mars colony. Two very different minds approaching the same problem from different angles. Meanwhile, President Richard Blackwood prepared to address the planet. The broadcast would reach every corner of Earth. He looked at the speech his advisors had prepared, then set it aside. Instead, he spoke from the heart. "Citizens of Earth, today we witnessed an act of genocide. 3 million innocent lives on Mars were ended without warning or mercy by the Galactic Council. They expect us to bow in fear, to accept their terms of surrender." He paused, his face showing the weight of what had happened. "We will not bow to terror. We will not surrender to genocide. And we will not forget Mars." President Blackwood's voice grew stronger. "As of this moment, Earth is at war with the Galactic Council. I have authorized all military forces to prepare for defensive and offensive operations. We face an enemy with advanced technology and unknown numbers, but they have underestimated humanity's greatest strength: our refusal to submit in the face of tyranny. Across the planet, factories were converted to produce weapons and ships. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the alien technology from the brief glimpses they had seen. In his lab, Dr. Chen made a breakthrough. The shields, he told Admiral Whitfield over a secure line. They have a vulnerability during the microsecond they shift frequencies, if we can time our attacks precisely. At the Nevada facility, Steve Rodriguez successfully converted a small fusion engine into a devastating weapon by inverting its containment field. The test melted through 6 meters of reinforced concrete before they could shut it down. Admiral Whitfield reviewed the reports with grim satisfaction. He pulled up a star chart showing the location of the Galactic Council station. "How long until we can launch?" he asked General Collins. "The fleet will be ready in 3 days," she replied. "But sir, even with these new weapons, we're still outmatched. This could be a suicide mission." Whitfield nodded. "Probably. But the Council needs to learn something important about humans." His eyes hardened. "We don't take kindly to bullies." In orbit above Earth, the remaining ships of humanity's space fleet were being retrofitted with Rodriguez's fusion bombs and Chen's shield frequency disruptors. They weren't much compared to the Council's massive vessels, but they carried something the aliens hadn't counted on: Earth's fury. The Galactic Council expected surrender. Instead, Earth went silent for 3 days. No responses to the Council's demands. No pleas for mercy. Just silence. Admiral Whitfield gathered the captains of Earth's remaining fleet. 57 ships in total. Not much against the might of the Council, but all they had. "This is Operation Ares Vengeance," Whitfield said, naming the mission after the god of war and the red planet they had lost. "While the Council waits for our surrender, we strike." Captain George Sullivan of the UES Defiance studied the battle plans. "Sir, these are suicide runs." Whitfield didn't deny it. "Many of us won't come back. But if we succeed, Earth lives." Each ship had been fitted with Rodriguez's modified fusion bombs and Chen's shield frequency disruptors. The plan was simple but desperate. The human fleet would jump directly to the Council station, deploy a small rescue team for the captive Earth delegation, and then unleash everything they had on the Council's ships. Commander Lisa Ortiz volunteered to lead the rescue team. "I trained with Lieutenant Harrison. I know how he thinks. We can find them." The fleet prepared in silence. Many wrote final messages to their families. Others prayed. All understood what was at stake. Admiral Whitfield addressed them one last time. "The Galactic Council believes they know humans. They've studied our history, our wars, our mistakes. What they don't understand is our capacity to overcome impossible odds. Today, we show them." At exactly 600 Earth time, the fleet jumped. The experimental FTL drives strained under the acceleration, pushed beyond their designed limits. They emerged directly above the Council station. Alarms immediately sounded throughout the alien structure. The Council had been caught completely by surprise. They had expected surrender terms, not an attack. "All ships, commence attack pattern Alpha," Admiral Whitfield ordered from his flagship. "Rescue team, you have your window. Good luck." Commander Ortiz and her small team, including engineering specialist Ryan Foster, launched toward the station in a stealth shuttle. They had memorized what little they knew of the station's layout and moved with purpose, following the tracking signal from the Earth delegation's communication devices. Meanwhile, the battle above the station intensified. Council defense ships scrambled to respond, but they were disorganized. The human vessels, despite being technologically inferior, fought with desperate coordination. Captain Sullivan's Defiance was the first to successfully deploy Chen's shield disruptor against a Council warship. "Target their shield transition," he ordered. His weapons officer timed the shot perfectly. The disruptor hit just as the alien shield shifted frequency. The energy blast tore through the suddenly vulnerable ship. "It works," Sullivan shouted. He immediately transmitted the timing data to all Earth ships. "Fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Multiple Council vessels were hit simultaneously. The aliens, unused to facing meaningful resistance from lesser species, fell into disarray. Aboard the station, Commander Ortiz's team found the human delegation in a high-security detention area. Lieutenant Harrison had already been working on an escape plan when they arrived. "About time," he said with a grim smile. We were about to stage a prison break. As they fled toward the extraction point, Ambassador Martinez stopped at a computer terminal. "We need to download whatever we can. Information about the Council, their technologies, their plans." Ryan Foster connected a device to the alien system. "I'm in. Downloading now." The data streamed faster than he expected. There's something strange here. Records of other species, dozens of them, all labeled neutralized. They'd done this before, Eleanor realized with horror. Mars wasn't the first genocide. Above the station, the battle had turned. Despite initial success, the human fleet was being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Ship after ship fell to the Council's weapons. On the Defiance, Captain Sullivan saw his ship surrounded by Council vessels. Engineering reported critical damage to all systems. "Send everything we have to all Earth ships," Sullivan ordered. "Shield frequencies, weapon configurations, everything." As the data transmitted, Sullivan aimed his damaged ship at the largest Council vessel, their command ship. "For Mars," he said quietly as the Defiance accelerated to ramming speed. The explosion was visible from the station windows as Commander Ortiz's team escaped with the Earth delegation and their stolen data. The Council's command structure had been dealt a crippling blow. But the price had been high. Of the 57 ships that began Operation Era's Vengeance, only 22 would make the jump back to Earth. The first battle was over. The war had just begun. News of Earth's attack spread quickly through the galaxy. The Galactic Council had never faced such defiance from a newly discovered species. Their response was swift and harsh. They declared humanity a threat to galactic peace and ordered their complete elimination. But something unexpected happened. Earth's resistance had sparked hope among species that had lived under Council rule for centuries. The first to reach out was the Tellarite ambassador, Kafar. His small ship approached Earth's defense network with shields lowered and weapons powered down. "I come in peace and solidarity," Kafar's message stated. "The Tellarites have suffered under Council oppression for 300 years. We watched what they did to Mars. We have seen it before." Admiral Whitfield met with Kavar personally. The alien resembled a tall, thin humanoid with pale blue skin and four-fingered hands. His eyes were large and entirely black. "My people have waited for someone to challenge the Council," Kavar explained. "We have technology we can share, ways to detect their ships before they arrive." "Why help us?" General Collins asked suspiciously. "You're risking destruction." Kavar turned to the view screen showing Earth. "Because we remember what it was like to be free. And because you've done what no one else dared. You fought back." The Tellarites weren't alone. The Mechanoid Praxis, a species of sentient machines, contacted Earth next. They offered their advanced manufacturing capabilities. "The Council fears species that evolve quickly," their representative explained. "We were once organic beings who merged with technology. They have limited our development for millennia." With new allies, Earth began to prepare for the Council's retaliation. Dr. Eleanor Quinn worked with Tellarite linguists to understand the Council's communication protocols. They discovered something crucial. The Council had been hiding their true history. "They've been systematically eliminating promising species," Eleanor explained to Admiral Whitfield as she showed him the data stolen from the Council station. "Any civilization that develops too quickly or shows too much potential gets classified as dangerous and destroyed. The Council members present themselves as protectors of peace," Kavar added, "but they are conquerors who eliminate competition." Lieutenant Harrison led a joint human-Tellarite strike team to capture a Council communications hub located on a small moon at the edge of Earth's solar system. The Council had placed it there to monitor Earth before the first contact. "This gives us access to their entire information network. Harrison reported after the successful mission. "We can see their ship movements, their communications, everything." The stolen hub also provided Earth with advanced technology schematics. Earth's factories, now working alongside Praxis engineers, began producing ships with shields and weapons far more advanced than anything humans had created before. Dr. Quinn made another critical discovery. Using the Council's own communication system, she prepared a galaxy-wide broadcast. "We'll show everyone what the Council really is," she told Ambassador Martinez. "Not protectors, but genocidal oppressors." The broadcast included evidence of the Council's systematic destruction of promising species over thousands of years. It showed the attack on Mars alongside similar attacks on other worlds throughout history. "For too long, the Council has ruled through fear," Ambassador Martinez said in the broadcast. "They demand obedience while claiming to protect the galaxy. But who protects us from them?" The broadcast reached thousands of worlds. On many planets, citizens began questioning their Council representatives for the first time. "They're going to retaliate with everything they have." Admiral Whitfield warned after the broadcast went out. But now the galaxy knows the truth. As if to confirm his words, long-range sensors detected a massive Council fleet assembling. But the fleet was smaller than expected. Some Council member species had withdrawn their support following Earth's broadcast. The Zorax, the oldest and most powerful Council species, sent a direct message to Earth. "Your defiance ends now. Prepare for extinction." Earth and its new allies prepared for the coming storm. Humanity had lost Mars, but they had gained something unexpected: hope for a free galaxy. And that made them more dangerous than the Council could possibly imagine. The Zorax were not bluffing. Long-range sensors detected something massive approaching Earth. 3 enormous vessels unlike anything seen before. "Planet killers," Kefar said, his blue face paling. "The Zorax have used them only twice in known history. They can destroy a planet from beyond the range of any defense system." Admiral Whitfield called an emergency meeting with Earth's military leaders and their alien allies. The mood was grim as they reviewed the sensor data. "These ships harness the energy of artificial singularities," explained the Praxis representative, a sleek humanoid machine. "They can focus that energy into a beam that disrupts the atomic bonds in matter. A single ship could crack Earth in half." As the meeting continued, something unexpected happened. 2 Council member species, the Nevarans and the Ildarans, sent messages withdrawing their support for the Zorax's actions. "The brutality against Earth has gone too far," the Nevaran message stated. "This is not justice, it is extinction." Ambassador Martinez saw an opportunity. "The Council is fracturing. Our broadcast worked." But it wasn't enough to stop the planet killers. They would reach Earth in less than 48 hours. Steve Rodriguez and Dr. Chen have been working nonstop since hearing about the new threat. "We can't match their firepower," Rodriguez admitted. "But what if we don't need to?" He showed them designs for a network of gravity disruptors. "These won't destroy the planet killers, but they might deflect their beams away from Earth." "We'd need hundreds of satellites in precise positions," Dr. Chen said. "And we have less than 2 days." "Then we better get started," Rodriguez replied. The Praxis offered their manufacturing capabilities. Their factories could produce the satellites faster than anything on Earth. Tellarate ships helped position them in orbit. Meanwhile, Commander Ortiz proposed another plan. "We need to get inside those planet killers." Her idea was bold and desperate. Using captured Council shuttles and the data from the communication hub, a small team would infiltrate the planet killers. "We can't destroy them from the outside, but maybe we can from within." Lieutenant Harrison immediately volunteered. "I'll go with you." As Earth prepared its defenses, something strange was happening on the remaining Council worlds. More species were openly questioning the Zorax leadership. The images of Mars being destroyed, coupled with evidence of past genocides, had awakened long-suppressed doubts. The Zorax responded with threats and intimidation. But for the first time in thousands of years, their authority was being challenged. Commander Ortiz's infiltration team launched 24 hours before the planet killers would reach firing range. Their modified council shuttles approached the massive vessels, transmitting stolen council identification codes. "Security codes accepted," Ortiz reported back to Earth. "We're being guided into their landing bay." The team split into 3 groups, one for each planet killer. Harrison led his team through dim corridors that seemed designed for beings much larger than humans. "These ships feel ancient," he observed, "much older than the rest of the Council technology." As they reached the central control chamber, Harrison made a shocking discovery. The ship's systems were surprisingly simple to access. "It's like they never expected anyone to get this far," he told Ortiz over their secure channel. What they found in the ship's databases changed everything. The Zorax had maintained control through fear, not technological superiority. Many of their most advanced technologies had been stolen from species they later eradicated. "They're not gods," Harrison realized. "They're just the biggest bullies in the galaxy." Back on Earth, Rodriguez's gravity disruptor network was complete. The satellites formed a protective web around the planet, ready to deflect the deadly beams. The Zorax sent a final message. "Your defiance ends now." The planet killers moved into firing position. Earth held its breath as the massive weapons powered up. In orbit, Rodriguez watched his gravity disruptors come online. On the planet killers, Ortiz and Harrison's teams prepared to sabotage the weapons from within. Humanity's fate would be decided in the next few minutes. But for the first time since the destruction of Mars, Earth felt something beyond anger and grief. They felt ready. The planet killers fired their weapons. 3 beams of blinding energy shot toward Earth. On the planet's surface, millions watched the sky light up, fearing these might be their final moments. But Rodriguez's gravity disruptors activated perfectly. The beams bent away from their targets, missing Earth by thousands of miles. The weapons had failed. Inside the lead planet killer, Commander Ortiz saw her chance. Now, she ordered her team. They planted the modified fusion bombs at key points throughout the ship's power core. Across the galaxy, Dr. Quinn broadcast everything. The Zorax's failure to destroy Earth, the infiltration teams inside their most feared weapons, and the truth about how the Zorax had stolen technology from species they had destroyed. Billions watched as the galaxy's oldest tyranny revealed its weakness. The Zorax commander, furious at the failure, ordered the planet killers to fire again. Destroy that world. But inside the second planet killer, Lieutenant Harrison had made a critical discovery. "The targeting systems are linked," he told Ortiz over their secure channel. "If we reprogram this one, we can make it fire at the third ship." With the help of Tellarite decryption codes, Harrison's team rewrote the targeting program. When the weapons fired again, the second planet killer's beam struck the third ship. The massive vessel erupted in a cascade of explosions. On Earth's defense platforms, Admiral Whitfield watched with grim satisfaction. "Launch all remaining ships," he ordered. "Target the damaged planet killers." Earth's fleet, joined by Tellarite and Praxis vessels, moved to attack. The ships were still outmatched, but the planet killers were in disarray. In orbit, Rodriguez noticed something strange happening with his gravity disruptor network. "The satellites are linking together," he told Dr. Chen. "They're forming some kind of megastructure." The Praxis representative explained, "Our artificial intelligence recognized a pattern in your design. It's creating a gravity lens, powerful enough to affect the planet killers directly." The networked satellites generated a gravitational field that pulled the remaining planet killers toward each other. The massive ships, unable to maneuver quickly, began to collide. On the lead planet killer, Commander Ortiz and her team raced back to their shuttle. "Detonation in 3 minutes," she reported. "We're cutting it close." As the team escaped, Admiral Whitfield received an urgent message. A new Zorax fleet had arrived at the edge of the solar system. Seeing no alternative, Whitfield made his decision. He boarded the UES Vengeance, Earth's last remaining heavy cruiser. "I'll lead an intercept mission," he told General Collins. "We have to buy more time." The Vengeance and a small group of escort ships jumped to meet the new threat. They were completely outnumbered. Whitfield opened a broadcast channel that would reach not just Earth, but all worlds watching Quinn's transmission. "Mars remembers. Earth endures. Humanity will not be extinguished." The Vengeance accelerated directly toward the heart of the Zorax command ship. The collision created an explosion that disrupted the entire enemy formation. At that same moment, Commander Ortiz's bombs detonated inside the first planet killer. The chain reaction spread to the second ship, which was still tangled with it due to Rodriguez's gravity lens. Both massive vessels erupted in blinding light. The Zorax command structure collapsed. Across the galaxy, Council member species declared independence. The oldest empire in known space had fallen in a single day. 1 year later, Ambassador Martinez stood in a new chamber on a rebuilt council station. Representatives from 37 species, including humans, Tellarites, and Praxis, gathered to sign a new treaty forming the Galactic Alliance. "We establish these principles," Martinez read. "No species shall dominate another. Knowledge shall be shared freely, and never again will genocide be used as a political tool." As she signed the treaty, surveillance feeds showed Earth's rebuilt fleet. It was larger and more advanced than any other species realized. The ships patrolled not just Earth, but Mars' orbit as well, a constant reminder of what had been lost. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Earth's fury, once ignited, could topple empires. But it was humanity's capacity for cooperation that would build something better from the ashes. In the darkness of space, where Mars once thrived, a memorial of lights now orbited. 3 million points of light, one for each life lost. A promise never forgotten. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as liberators.